like to call this meeting of the Westland City Council to order, please. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, tonight led by Haley Dulock, a sixth grade student from Marshall Upper Elementary.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And if you'll stay up front, Councilman Coleman will be right down to talk to you.
Good evening, everybody. This is Haley Dulock. Haley is 11 years old, and she goes to Marshall Upper Elementary. She's in the 6th grade. And first of all, I wanted to say thank you very much for doing the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. You did a great job. What's your favorite subject in school?
I like math and reading.
Yeah, what kind of books do you like to read?
Chapter books, ones that are like realistic fiction.
Okay, very cool. She lives in Canton with her 2 parents, her 2 brothers, and a sister. That's a big family. So are you the youngest, the oldest, or are you in the middle?
Youngest.
You're the youngest. Do you like being the youngest?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it probably has its advantages. One of her brothers was adopted from Ukraine. She also has 3 cats and a guinea pig. And you also play a musical instrument. What is that instrument?
The violin.
And what kind of music do you like to play?
Classical.
Very cool. Do you listen to classical music too?
No.
No? Okay. And then you have one other activity that you do. It says you do gymnastics. Have you been doing that for a while?
I do it in my basement, and I learn stuff on my own, and I haven't been doing it for that long.
That's cool, though. It's a good activity, and it keeps you healthy. So, well, if you want to have your parents come up, we're going to do a picture, and I also have a certificate here. On behalf of the Mayor of Westland and the entire City Council, we want to say thanks a lot for helping us out with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thanks a lot. You guys have a great night. Good job.
Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Bryant.
Present.
Councilman Coleman.
Here.
Councilman Hammonds.
Present.
Councilman Johnson. Here. Councilman Kerr.
Present.
Councilman Reeves.
Here.
President Godbout.
Present.
The quorum is present.
We'll begin with announcements and presentations. Chief, if you want to.
Thank you, Council President. I wanted to invite up 4 of our dispatchers with me here today. I've got dispatcher Randy Salone Demetrio, dispatcher Dale Massa, dispatcher Diane Muselin, and dispatcher Tandria Harris. We're going to talk a little bit about APCO. APCO is the National Accrediting Agency for Public Safety Communications. The Michigan chapter of that association nominated these 4 this year as the 2014 Team of the Year. They were recognized in Frankenmuth on October 23rd. And a little bit about the Westland dispatchers. We provide dispatch service right now for the cities of Westland, Inkster, Wayne, and Garden City. They provide dispatch service for police, fire, and EMS. So while doing that every day, there was a couple incidents that happened last year where these guys just did an incredible job. They were recognized. Specifically on May 8th, 2013 at 8:16 in the morning, we all remember the unfortunate fire at Marveso's Italian restaurant. The restaurant is a part of a strip mall and potentially posed a danger to all the other businesses there. And we all know about the terrible loss we had that day with firefighter Brian Wilkie. While doing all of that, these dispatchers put together a search and rescue team. They obtained mutual aid and requested assistance from other departments. And they also handled emergency requests coming into the dispatch center throughout the city elsewhere. Also on May 13th, The day of firefighter Wilkie's funeral, these dispatchers were coordinating shutting down many major streets in our city for the funeral procession. Around 12:18 that day, a hostage situation took place at the Westland City Hall that a lot of us are familiar with, and it was a potential bomb scare. While dealing with all of that, these dispatchers still coordinated the Westland Police Department, the Westland Police SWAT team, the Michigan State Police Bomb Squad, and our hostage negotiators to come on scene and handle that situation. Throughout these very trying times and situations, these dispatchers not only maintained their composure and professionalism, but as a team, they were flawless with the execution of various tasks that needed to be performed. During these incidents, these dispatchers never once used a tone of voice that indicated stress over the radio at any time. They assisted each other with making sure that not one radio transmission, emergency or non-emergency call or request was missed. If these dispatchers had not come together and worked as a team, phone calls would have gone unanswered, radio transmissions would have been missed, and that would have been horrible that day. So I want to just personally bring them up here and thank them in front of everybody here. So thanks, guys. We've got a couple of presentations. The mayor's got a presentation for you guys.
Well, thank you, Chief, and thank you, all of you, for the job that you do for us each and every day for the city of Westland. You know, a lot of times we talk about our streets are safer because of our police, or our streets and our homes are safer because of our fire department, but our streets and our homes are also safer because of the work that our Westland dispatchers do. So we applaud you. And I can tell you on the date that the chief mentioned, on the 13th, when we had the standoff at City Hall, I was fortunate to be inside the dispatch center during that, and I got a chance to watch all of you in action, and I can tell you I was very impressed. With that, today we have recognition for each of you on behalf of the city of Westland in recognition of your exemplary leadership, decisive actions, and teamwork. Congratulations on being recognized for the Michigan APCO Public Communications Team Award of the Year. Your professionalism is a true asset to our all-American city. And we have one of these for each of you. Randy?
Thank you.
Diane? Tandria? All right. Thank you. Thank you, Chief.
Not going to leave that quick. Well, on behalf of the Westland City Council, I too want to thank you for your heroic efforts and your professionalism. I just want to take a minute to read part of the proclamation that we're going to give you today. Whereas on May 8th, 2013, during a horrific fire in which another hero, Brian Wilkie, fell in the line of duty, and on May 13th, 2014, at which time there was a hostage situation at City Hall, they not only maintained their composure and professionalism, but also as a team, they were flawless in their execution of all the varied tasks that they had to perform. Thank you and congratulations.
And you still can't leave. Hi, it's my honor to present you with a tribute from the state, along with Senator Glenn Anderson. You know, I don't think I could do your job. I'm just going to say that, especially when one of your colleagues has a misfortune like that. And I just want to say what I think of you guys is amazing, the work that you do, and thank you very much. And Glenn Anderson wanted to be here, but he has an Eagle Scout tribute, so he couldn't, but he wishes his best. So thank you very much. Congratulations.
We're going to slide over to the mall so you can each get a shopping cart. You know, I wasn't as smart as my political colleagues. I didn't take these out of the box yet. but I want to, so at least we can show off one of them. You know, I had an opportunity to speak with Randy and Dale a few moments before the meeting began, and I'd indicated that during my 22 years of service in Canton, I was on the other side of the radio, and I always had an appreciation for the work that you folks do, but I always also had an awareness and a knowledge that if it wasn't for you, other folks couldn't do their job. And I wouldn't want it. I'm glad that you do it. I'm glad that our community is safer, as the mayor says, because of folks like you, and truly appreciate your service to our community. So on behalf of the Wayne County Commission, I'm going to offer this to you as well, and hope that you'll find a suitable place to hang all of these items. Thanks. So we showed one off. Dale, yours is out of the box. The others, if you don't mind, I'm just going to leave it in there. All right. Thank you. All right, so can I get a photo as well? Thanks so much. Thank you.
Mike?
Mike Williams, I'm the new chairman of the Westland Veterans Association. First of all, I'd like to thank the council, the council president, and the mayor for letting me come up here. I'd like to make a couple of announcements. On 11/11, at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we're going to have a little memorial for our veterans at the Westland Memorial Gardens. I appreciate, and I'm inviting all of you and anybody in our city to come and see our city's memorial. Is something to really be proud of. A lot's been done since the dedication. It looks fantastic. I'm proud to be part of it. Coming up, along with that, and next year we're going to have several fundraisers. The first one's going to be at the Westland Bowling Alley. We're going to have a tournament there to raise funds, and then the next one will be our annual golf outing. And then we'll have another fundraiser for Camp Liberty and our memorial at Firing Line again. And like I said, I really appreciate participation in the city, and our city has something to really be proud of. And I thank you.
Thanks, Mike. 2 o'clock.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We did it that because all of our VFWs and American Legion and stuff, they usually do it at 11/11, and we didn't want to step on anybody's toes. So, and it's going to be short. You know, with me speaking, I'm not a big speaker, so we'll make it as short as possible. Thank you again.
Thanks, Mike. We'll move on to citizens' questions or input on the agenda. Citizens will be recognized before the business of the meeting commences to address the council pertaining to items that are specifically on the business agenda. Citizens are asked to limit their questions or input to 3 minutes. Is there anyone on my right? Mr. Rock?
To the council and citizens out there that are listening, pertaining to new business item 2, collective fire agreement. I'm asking the council tonight to table this agreement for primarily there is no transparency. Council had a closed study session on fire contract, did not allow any citizens to have any information about this. Even did a FOIA and was not allowed to get a copy of the tentative agreement. No citizen in the whole city could get a copy to see beforehand what you're voting on tonight. And I don't think that's very fair. And on top of that, this is a 6-year contract. 6 years. I've seen contracts for 40 years. I don't care if it's at the state level, municipality or education level, I've never seen a 6-year contract. I've seen 3, 4, and we've had 5, but 6, as far as I can see, it's a rat trap. And the citizens are going to be the rats that are going to put in the trap. And basically what they're looking for is not cheese, they're looking for money. And we're going to be stuck with this for 6 years. And I'm asking William Weil, are you reforming any of the following fire items from the last contract? The last contract, after a measly 10 years, fire people get 7 weeks, 2 days vacation. After measly 7 years, if you work for the big 3, you get 4, after 10 years, they're getting 7 weeks, 2 days vacation. If you work for the big 3, you get 4 weeks. After a measly 3 years, the fire are getting 5 weeks, 2 days vacation. That's insulting. They get 17 holidays. 17 holidays. How many of you get 17 holidays? Not only do they get Easter Sunday, but they get 4 hours for Good Friday. Thanksgiving Day is a holiday. They also get paid for a day after Thanksgiving. I never heard of it. Christmas Day is a holiday. They also get paid for a Christmas Eve holiday. It's unheard of. Food allowance. The average fire person in the city is making $70,000, and they, on that last contract, received $1,336 a year in food allowance. I want to know if you're reforming it on this new contract. We have a fire chief here that was making $96,000 when he was working, he retired, and he got $8,000 raise on his pension. Michael Reddy's making $104,000 a year. He's double dipping, making $114,000 as a contract worker, and I figured out the amount that we citizens are paying. We are literally paying Michael Reddy $1,000 a day for his job at the present time. And I think that's, this is why our taxes are going up so much.
Time's up. Anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Mrs. McKinney?
Okay, on the consent calendar, item E, introduction of budget amendment 2015-01, general fund budget transfer for animal control. Now, it's my understanding that the animal control is going from the police department to the fire department. I still have a problem with the fire department getting other ordinance officer at the fire department. These guys are overworked as it is, and I'd rather see, yes, find a way to budget for animal control. On item G, reprogram CDBG home and NSP funds as follows. From CDBG section 108 loan, and there's FY 2013-14 to CDBG Norway acquisition demolition. What is this section 108 loan? Is that for section 8's for improvements, or what is it, and why is it going for demolition? That's it.
Anyone on my left? Ray?
Just want to read off a couple of these consent calendars. And I do so, the Salvation Army to ring the bell at the intersection of Wayne and Warren Roads, November 28th, 29th, December 6th, 13th, 20th, and 24th. I support that. It looks like it's, just talking to somebody about that earlier. Number C, 4 stop signs, or whatever signs these are. No stopping, standing, or parking signs at Clarkson between Cliff or Drive and Marquette on the west side of the street. Can you please tell us about that? Because to me, that's a lot of signs there. Thank you.
One on my right. Mr. Campbell?
New City Hall looks nice. Haven't been here yet. Number 1, under new business, adoption of prepared resolution granting property tax exemption and approving the request of Westland Taylor Corporation for payments in lieu of taxes for elderly housing development known as Thomas Taylor Towers. So my question is, why and how was this taxed before if this was a city asset? And why not now? I just don't understand how you can do both, or, you know, how it was in the past. That's it. Oh, one last thing. With regards to the posted future study session on November 17th, says discussion of council policies and procedures. Can you elaborate exactly what policy and procedure we're going to discuss? And that's it.
Anyone on my left? One on my right? Anyone else in the audience? We'll close citizens' comments and move on to the consent calendar. Is there a motion? Motion by Councilman Johnson, supported by Councilman Hammonds. There were a couple of questions on item E, or C, number 1, I guess. Chief?
Through the chair, Gray. With the new farmer's market and the park being open, we're trying to take measures to prevent delivery trucks and people from parking and stopping on Carlson Road right in front of the residents and the houses that are right there. It's been becoming a problem. Cars are stopping, trucks are stopping there to do the unload. That's what the purpose is, to prevent that from the restriction of traffic there.
Item E, Mr. Smith?
Yes, through the chair.
Just,
Item E is a budget amendment for the police department, transferring the dollar amounts remaining in the Michigan Humane Society contract over to the fire department. As was mentioned, the fire department will be taken over, or has taken over, the animal control process. That's it.
And then item G, Joanne?
Yes, thank you through the chair. The Section 108 loan is the loan that was just recently approved by HUD for the renovations at Jefferson Barnes School.
Did you hear?
For the Jefferson Barnes Community Center. Those funds were applied for actually in 2013 with approval of City Council for the annual plan, but HUD did not approve the funding until this year. And so this reprogramming is just to request those funds that cannot be spent on the 108 loan because it wasn't approved last year, to be reprogrammed to the acquisition and demolition of blighted properties, which is an approved item in this year's annual plan for CDBG funding in the Norway community.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the council? Councilman Coleman?
Thank you. Item F, the budget amendment for the police department COPS grant. Chief or Mr. Smith, if we could get just an explanation for those in the audience tonight on what that grant is and what the budget amendment will consist of. Thank you.
Sure. Go ahead, Chief.
Through the chair, I can cover what the grant is. We applied through Department of Justice for a COPS grant. We put a lot of work into the grant. We were fortunate enough to be selected. We are awarded 4 positions that we're going to be able to add manpower to the Westland Police Department. This is going to take effect as soon as possible and something we're very excited about. I can let Mr. Smith explain the finances of it.
Mr. Smith?
Yes, through the chair. The dollar amounts for the grants, it is a 4-year grant. Required general fund contribution this year for the budget amendment is $119,500. The grant revenue will be a little over $96,000, and that will cover the 4 officers for the remainder of the year. And actually, that's from November 1st, so those numbers are probably a little high, but it just depends on when they hire the 4. And then they'll just be part of the budget going forward in the next 3 years after.
Thank you. Are there any other questions from the council? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously.
Mr. Chair, council has approved the following minutes of October 20th. Request from the Salvation Army to ring the bell at the intersections of Wayne and Warren, November 28th and 29th. December 6th, 13th, 20th, and 24th. Traffic Control Order 2014-8, install 4 no stopping, standing, no parking signs on Carlson between Clifford Drive and Marquette on the west side of the street. Bid for window cleaning services from Dynamic Systems, Inc., amount $2,300. Introduction to Budget Amendment 2015-1, General Fund Budget Transfer for Animal Control. Introduction to Budget Amendment 2015-2, General Fund Budget Amendment for the Police Department COPS Grant. Reprogram CDBG Home and NSP funds as follows. From CDBG Section 108 loan to CDBG Norway Acquisition Demolition, $49,850. Adoption of prepared resolution authorizing the renovation of 35531 Booth and authorizes the mayor and city clerk to sign the memorandum of understanding and the director of housing and community development to sign all other documents on behalf of the city. Adoption of prepared resolution authorizing the disposition of 1 property acquired under the Wayne County tax foreclosure to an income-eligible family and authorizes the mayor and city clerk to sign the quitclaim deed on behalf of the city. New business, item 1, adoption of prepared resolution granting property tax exemption and approving the request of Westland Taylor Corporation for payments in lieu of taxes for the elderly housing development known as Thomas Taylor Towers.
Is there a motion? Motion by Councilman Reeves, supported by Councilman Hammonds. There was a question on that. Mr. Fasson?
Certainly, through the chair. The Taylor Towers complex has been paying a payment in lieu of taxes or a pilot since its establishment back in 1979. This is pursuant to the State Housing Development Authority Act of 1966, which is MCL 125.1415 sub A. As we've moved, so EHC used to pay the pilot. As we've moved the ownership of Taylor Tower to Westland Taylor Corporation, or WTC, WTC in their October board meeting came forward and passed a resolution which the council has, asking that it be allowed to pay a pilot in lieu of taxes. And that's what's before you now, is to do, essentially to continue to do what was done before for Taylor Tower, and that is set it up as a pilot rather than a tax base.
Thank you. Is there any questions from the council? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously.
Item 2, approve of the Wayne Westland Firefighters Union Collective Bargaining Agreement 2014 to 2020, and if approved, authorizes the mayor and city clerk to execute on behalf of the city.
Is there a motion?
So moved. Support.
Motion by Councilman Reeves, supported by Councilman Kerr. Is there discussion? Any discussion? I have some concerns about the agreement, the way it's currently structured, and I think it needs further review. We got the actual hard copy of it Thursday in our packets, and there is, for the bulk of it, I'm in complete support and agreement with it, but I do have some concerns with the agreement as it's structured, particularly in regards to the pension multipliers. So with that, I'm going to pass the gavel to Councilman Hammonds, and I'm going to make a motion that this item be tabled.
Second, okay with the motion?
If I may, it is a regular motion. Because it is a table motion, it supersedes the main motion, so all you need is support for the table motion.
Is there support? Support? Is there any
Christie.
question? Yep. Support by Councilwoman Bryant. Mr. Faso?
Just simply that it's not a debatable motion.
Okay. Any
You have to
questions?
call for the vote.
Roll call.
Councilwoman Bryant? Yes. Councilman Coleman?
Yes.
Councilman Hammonds?
No.
Councilman Johnson?
No.
Councilman Kerr?
Yes.
Councilman Reeves?
No.
President Godbout?
Yes.
The motion prevails. Councilman Coleman, you said yes, correct? Thank you. and at that point, the main motion falls because it is tabled. Just a reminder, when you table a motion, when you table an item, it does not go on the next meeting. It only goes when it's called by the chairman or 3 members of the council to go on the agenda. Item 3, approval of vouchers.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Hammond, supported by Councilman Coleman. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any dissent? Any dissent? Hearing no dissent, motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to citizens' comments or requests. Citizens will be recognized at the end of the meeting immediately following the agenda item approval of vouchers. Citizens are asked to limit their comments to 3 minutes. All citizens wishing to speak will be heard. I would just like to also remind everyone, as I did at the end of the last meeting, that it has been a longstanding policy of this council not to allow campaigning either from the dais or from the podium. So I would ask that we, and particularly since the election is tomorrow and this meeting will not be televised prior to the election, that I would ask everyone to refrain from any campaigning at the podium. Is there anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Hi, Steve Boron. We were, some of the issues coming up with the cost for our pensions. I'm glad you decided to rediscuss that. Pensions from 2003 to 2013 have doubled from $5,411,000 to $12,457,000. Doesn't seem very sustainable. The police and fire contract, a veteran police officer with 260, or with 13 years of service get 260 hours of vacation and personal time, while a soldier in Afghanistan gets 30 days paid. They get a $1,500 clothing allowance, and the weapons qualification I find is kind of very high, $1,250, which is paid in September, from my understanding. The current cost for ammunition is about $15 a box for 9mm or $16 a box for 40 caliber S&W. That means somebody's firing off 3,900 rounds a year. Not only is that dangerous to them, I mean, it's a big waste of money. Thank you.
Anyone on my right? Yes, sir.
I'd like to find out a little information from the fellow who wrote this amendment on the tree branches, tree roots in my yard. It's in the neighbor's tree, and I think he's the one who wrote this. Could I get some information on it and get that root out of my yard because it's in my drains?
Okay. I'm going to suggest that you talk to Mr. Ramsey after the meeting, and he'll be glad to discuss it with you. And I think Mr. Fasson is actually the one who drafted that response, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Yes, ma'am.
Hello and good evening. I'm here because I was voicing a concern about something I heard that perhaps when televised, that the city council meetings may consider removing the citizens' comments from the televised, program. So that's my concern, and I want that to remain. The citizens' comments need to be heard and need to be seen, and that's about it. There's a lot of people can't make it to the meetings, and they need to be able to hear what's on other people's minds and what's going on. So thank you.
Can we get your name for the record, please?
Beg your pardon?
Your name for the record?
Oh, my name is Tawn Bellinger.
Okay.
From Westland. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? DeWitt?
The following are my opinions based on facts as I understand them. At the October 6, 2014 council meeting, a citizen came to the podium to pass on a rumor told to him by several firefighters, but mainly to request anyone who may have any info concerning the arson and tragic homicide of a Westland firefighter at Marvasos/Electric Stick to call the state police. The overreaction by the mayor, council president, fire chief, and councilmen was sad. One would think we would all be interested in finding the guilty. To the councilmen who suggested that this gentleman should be sued because spreading a rumor is as bad as creating one, must have forgotten the false rumor he created last year about a very good person running for council, which probably cost this person the election. How hypocritical. The attacks continued against this gentleman at the following meeting. It was suggested by some that he and others should be shut down. But the shutting down of citizens' comments on WLND is not new. January 28, 2010, our former city attorney, Angela Plakas, wrote an opinion letter requested by Councilman Reeves. I would prefer to read it in its entirety, but my time is so very limited. The highlights. Settled law, Good News Club versus Milford Central Schools, 2001. The United States Supreme Court has held that any restrictions on speakers or speech must not discriminate against speech on the basis of point of view. It must be reasonable in the light of the purpose served by the forum, council. He goes on, to avoid a claim that some audience members are being preferred over others on the basis of their viewpoint, it is suggested that the portion of the meeting involving presentations and announcement should be treated in the same manner as the citizen comment sections of the agenda. This would mean those portions of the meeting that would also not be televised on LND would include the Blues, Brews, and Barbecues, Historical Museum, Senior Olympics, the State Rep, Wayne County Commissioner, to name just a few. The First Amendment, in part, Congress shall make no law abridging freedom of speech. From Webster's Unabridged Dictionary, abridge, curtail, diminish, lessen, prune, abbreviate. On a different subject, the wall behind the council is beautiful, but the overhead camera shots looking down on citizens, speakers, is demeaning and disrespectful. Was that intentional? That's it.
Is there anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Mrs. McKinney?
I'm very upset with the reactions of last meeting. Jim Davis was having a breathing attack, and the lack of compassion in this city is outrageous. When somebody is having a hard time breathing, and I don't, you can't talk, you can't move, and to be yelled at and treated the way he was is unacceptable. And I hope a lot of people are offended by it, because I certainly am. When a man in a wheelchair and somebody that had surgery, major surgery not too long ago, were the only two people to help him. Shame on all of you. Now for the citizen comments. That is a fee on my cable bill and anybody who has WOW, Comcast, or Uverse. You have no business interfering with our programming. It's for government, and we are entitled to see the whole government show.
Is there anyone on my left? Right?
Yeah, there's a couple things I want to say, and then I want to say something on a positive note. First of all, the positive note was The open house was very good. I was very surprised, a real big turnout, a lot of standing. Didn't have enough chairs, but it was good. I really enjoyed it. So I think the mayor, you're doing a good job. And I'm going to compliment the police department and the dispatchers. Every day, they put their lives out for people, and I'm so happy that they got in their awards tonight. Jeff, keep up the good work that you're doing, too, and the fire department. And anyway, I'm just concerned about the citizens' comments, you know, that you guys are going to take that away. That's not cool, because we all pay. I pay the fee, too, and we should all have our voices heard. And it's important because if someone comes up here and bashes somebody, should everybody else have to be? Shouldn't have to suffer over that. Mayor, please think about that, and you all think about that and work it out. Thank you.
What on my right? Mr. Campbell?
Bill Campbell, Westland. I'm up here tonight to remind everyone of our freedom of speech and where we came from. The following was a quote from JFK, to whom Old City Hall was named in memory of. JFK was silenced on November 22nd, 1963. Freedom. We must know all the facts, hear all the alternatives, and listen to all the criticisms. Let us welcome controversial books, controversial authors, for the Bill of Rights is the guardian of our security as well as our liberty. I stand up here tonight because our council and mayor have unpublished committee of 3 meetings that were organized. They have scheduled these meetings without us knowing. On November 17th, there's a study session regarding council policies. I ran for council last year because this council to me is out of touch. I ask you, what do you have to hide? We'll be the only city in the United States that will practice censorship. You've limited our time to 3 minutes. However, your time is unlimited. I ask you, who is the public servant? The people who voted for you or yourselves? This is not the first time you have tried to do this. Thanks to Donna DeWitt, she kept a 2000 opinion letter from our last city attorney. The opinion was requested from Dewey Reeves. Dewey, what did you have to request why did you request this 4 years ago? 2 years ago, this council tried to build City Hall behind our homes. We stopped you. Many citizens among myself started a recall. Dewey, Jim, your recent bullying of Kevin for his assistance in protecting our homes was uncalled for. You may not know this, but Bill Johnson and 2 former council members also helped us. Mr. Johnson offered picketers and would match the number if we had at this mayor's city address. Oddly, they never showed. Bill recalled the Michigan Avenue bowling alley meeting. We had over 30 people that you spoke to. As much as I was disappointed with no picketers, I was pleased with your no vote to the 2 married couples appointed by the mayor that allowed those projects. During the recent bullying and exclusion of Kevin from the groundbreaking pictures, you never stuck up for him, and I see how now you're one of the architects of this effort of silencing citizens' comments. Dewey, Jim, I think your bullying of Councilman Coleman is one of the most unprofessional things I've witnessed up here. Calling him untrustworthy, lying about his voting record, all because he questioned the budget and helped us protect our homes. Next year, we have another council election. Dewey, Jim, and Adam, your seats are up. I think with the election of Kevin Coleman, people are waking up in Westland. One last note, a democratic republic needs public comments time. If the comments are not aligned with the representative views, this council is not allowed to censor anyone's voices. Please attend the next study session, November 17th at 6 p.m. at this new City Hall. Don't let them stop public broadcasting of citizens' comments so we can proudly say we are the American city. Thank you.
Is there anyone on my left? Anyone on my right?
Little crutch.
No problem, Lyda.
I was at the clerk's office Friday, and it was rainy. And when I walked in, I noticed the floor had no carpeting or anything. I think in the wintertime especially, it's going to be unsafe. I would like to request some attention be given to that for the safety of those coming to the clerk's office. I concur with the comments that were made about citizens' free speech. I cannot believe that you would even think or try to think about cutting people off from talking. This is a free country. Our men have fought for freedom. I just lost my brother from World War II, and he was buried today. We have our freedom because of these guys, and we should have a right to speak and express our feelings. I learn from these council meetings, not just from the meetings that are held on the agenda, but from the citizens, because you get information. And many of my questions have been answered because they have been allowed to speak. I also would like to ask the mayor, because I can't talk to him any other time, what do you plan on doing with City Hall and the Bailey Center? Once the building is torn down, which I understand you have a date for tearing down the building. Could you answer through the chair to the mayor? I'm sorry?
Sure, I'll answer in my comments.
You'll answer at the end of the meeting? I would like to know, because I asked about a month ago and I haven't gotten an answer. So I figured this is the only way. I'm sorry I have to do it this way. You know, the Bailey Center was named in remembrance of the fellow from DPS, our first DPS guy, who died at the table eating his retirement dinner. So if you could have something in his memory, since the building's going to be torn down, don't forget him. That's why it was named after him. I would like for you to think about that and see what you can do so that the memory is still served. There is a purpose for serving people. I feel the fire authority idea with Westland, Wayne, and Inkster, it's on hold, I know that. But you know, people, we cannot afford any more millages. The Westland homeowners are not the bank. And we have to live within our budget. At present, I'm working on a healthcare exchange. And that's going to cost me some more money. We also have lost our homestead credit. That's quite a bit of money. And also taxing our pensions. And then all the taxes that you put on us year after year when you
Time's up,
do your
Lyda.
budget sessions. My time is up. Thank
Yeah.
you, sir.
Thanks. Anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Mr. Rodriguez?
Thank you. Mark Rodriguez, Westland. Regarding the attempted restriction of televising the citizens' comments portions on WLND, you know, the requirement to have citizens' comments at the open meetings is not just so we have a chance to speak, but it's a chance for us to be heard, so other people can hear us. A lot of times it's for criticism, it's for suggestions, it could be for accolades. But so people can hear what our concerns are. And for you to even consider editing that portion out of the WLND broadcast is ridiculous. The policies and procedures is for how the meeting is conducted. Not that you can choose what's provided for the citizens on WLND to see. If you choose to televise the meeting, and you can choose not to televise the meetings, but if you choose to, it's got to be from the beginning to the adjournment. And I don't know what you guys are afraid of. I mean, to go to an extreme, if there was ever a chance, and I know it's not going anywhere in the near future, but if there was a mayor that was in total disagreement, or you guys were all in a disagreement with the mayor, are you saying that you could edit and not broadcast his? Because he doesn't have to be at these meetings. Just like we don't have to be at these meetings. Could you edit his comments at these meetings, and would you ever dare to? It's just absolutely ridiculous that you would even consider it.
And I think you should not waste your time and everyone else's time, and just cancel that study session for next week. It's just ridiculous. Regarding this building, it's a beautiful-looking facility in here. Do we have a cost on what the final cost was for this building, outside of purchasing this building that was a commercial building, and when you guys were looking at putting the city hall behind the library, at one of the study sessions, it was stated that you didn't want to take a commercial building, take it off the tax rolls, but you know that was just for show at the time. But when that fell through, you had to get a building over here. Taking a building off the tax rolls that, according to their website, they had about 65% of this prospective tenants already for this building that you took from them. Well, you didn't take it from them, you gave them $1 million profit in a matter of a year. So if you could answer just that one question, what that total cost of this building is, you should know it by now. Thank you.
Is there anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Mr. Rock?
To the council and to the citizens out there listening to this tonight, there's a very simple solution. If the council members do not want to represent the citizens, then next November, there's 4 of them coming up for election, and we don't have to represent them at the voting booth. The next item is, on the front page of the Observer, William Wild, the mayor, stated, with open house, this is a new transparency. Well, I was at the open house, and I was appalled, and I think it was a slap in the face to each of you council members. When citizens went to see his office, it was closed, off limits to the people who paid for this building. When I was walking through the building, I heard a half a dozen people say, well, what's the mayor hiding? What's the mayor hiding? What's he got, a lavish office? Well, that was very, very untransparent. Coming back to the pensions, what's really amazing is you're pricing the citizens out of the city, and you're pricing businesses out of the city, and you yourself and your families and your children and your grandchildren, you're going to have to be able to afford to live in the city yourself. And I have yet to figure out where this is all going. There's no logic to this. For example, Michael Reddy was making $96,000 a year while he was working. Then he retires and he gets the $8,000 a year raise in pension. All of a sudden he goes from $96,000 to $104,000 pension. He couldn't afford to work. It was appalling. The other thing was, I talked to the mayor the week after he was elected in 2007, and I said, you're in the horse and buggy era for negotiations. I said, you don't have any of your police or fire contributing 1 penny toward pension or health insurance. So I'll be darned, he hasn't done anything until this last police officer's contract, 7 years later. And what it is he's been bought out by police and fire contributions, and he sold us taxpayers out. Michael Reddy, through the chair to Michael Reddy, how much did you contribute toward your pension while you were working? I would like an answer, please. Did you contribute even 1 penny? Could you answer, please? Michael Reddy retired as fire chief. He worked a measly 20 years and 4 days. There's not a person in the United States, you could work for General Motors or the Big Three for 40 years and you wouldn't even get a third of that. I talked to people, and he's getting 5 times the amount of pension he should be. If we were a business, we would be bankrupt.
Your time's up, Mr. Rock. Is there anyone on my left? Anyone on my right? Anyone else in the audience? We'll close citizens' comments and move on to comments from the administration. Mayor?
Thank you, and good evening, everybody.
Hang on a half a second, Mayor. Oh, it's on. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the chief for recognizing the dispatchers here tonight. I think they do a great job for us, and I think they were very worthy of being recognized, and it was obviously our pleasure to do so tonight. There were a few questions that came up. One of them was, what were we going to do with the original City Hall and the Bailey Center? And I think another comment was that you already have a date plan to do that. At this point, the city does not have a date in store to tear down those buildings. I can tell you that our purchasing department right now is working with our DPS director to put together an RFP to get us some cost on doing the demolitions of those individual buildings. We're also going to get the cost of demolition for the economic growth building on Marquette Street. And at the same time, we'll work on getting an appraisal for that land so that as we do move forward, we have an idea what our costs are going to be to tear down tear down the buildings and what the land itself is worth. So at this point, the DDA is working on a process called Reimagining Ford Road. It's an extension of our Ford Road 2020 plan. So we'll have more discussion on that moving forward. Another question was, what was the cost on this building here? The building here, the cost on it was $10.2 million. If you remember when we brought in the architects to price a new building was $15 million. And then we were able to build this building for $10.2 million. And we were able to do so using the tax dollars that were collected in TIFA. So we did not have to raise anybody's taxes. There was a lot of talk about the council policies and procedures, and Mr. Campbell went so far as to say that the mayor was part of 3 secret meetings on policies and procedures. I can tell you that the mayor does not participate in the council policies and procedure meetings. If they were secret, it's not something that I know about. It's a committee that the council meets through. But as far as the televising portion of the citizens' comments, I am not in favor of taking the citizens' comments off television. So I am in favor, the council president, reminding us that there's no politicking at the podium, and that's something that I'll make sure that I abide to. The thing I am in support of is the council working together to eliminate and just having a zero tolerance policy for personal attacks in the council room. And I will make the pledge that I will not personally attack any council member, elected official, resident while I'm sitting in this room. I think that it's an insult to the residents, especially for the fact that we televise it on TV. So I think it first of all, just shows a disrespect for the position and to the residents. So I will not be practicing personal attacks from this podium, and I would appreciate if council, when they're talking about their policies and procedures, if that's something that they would look at, because it's been said time and time again that this is the business of the city. That's where it should be handled here. I don't think personal attacks are part of the business of the city. Council, tonight you tabled the fire department contract, and we're going to try to make light of that. I can tell you that our negotiating team, which is here tonight, and they were prepared to lay out the 6-year proposal that we had, which was ratified by the fire union. But that team was led up by Jim Fossone, Cindy King, and Thelma Kabinski. They did a great job. I know the fire department executive committee is here tonight, the union president's here. So if I understand it correctly, is that it sounded like the council did not have issues with the contract as was laid out. The issue was with the pension multiplier. So unless I have that wrong, we'll sit down with our team, with the fire union, and we'll take a look at that and come back to you in the near future. On to just a couple quick comments. Tonight when you came in, you noticed some boxes in the lobby for Toys for Tots. The City of Westland will be collecting right out in the lobby of City Hall Toys for Tots collections. Actually, something new that's going to be starting tomorrow is that we've been asked by the Turkish American Society, and there's a lot of residents that live in the City of Westland that are Turkish. They've asked if we would also help them with a blanket drive, so there will also be boxes that are going to lobby tomorrow. It's a partnership between the Turkish American Society and the Nigeria Foundation. So we'll be collecting new blankets in the lobby, and these will be used for Syrian and Iraqi refugees that are currently in Turkey. I'd like to thank everybody that participated in last week's historic day in Norway as we unveiled the historical marker. It was an incredible day, and when you watch tonight's council meetings, you'll think that absolutely nothing good ever happens in our city, and I'm going to tell you that that could not be any further from the truth. It was an incredible, proud day in Norway. A lot of people came out. It took a lot of hard work to get us to that point, and there's just such an incredible amount of positive energy that's flowing in the Norwegian community. And it was probably spotlighted best over the weekend by the Detroit News as they did a great article about Westland's Norway neighborhood revival hits a milestone. So thank you, everybody, for participating in that. I'd like to thank our CDBG and housing staff at the Dorsey Center. They recently received a 97% for the housing voucher program assessment, which is an annual thing, and I think this is an incredible job that they do day in and day out. It's a tough program to administer, and they do it year in and year out with a lot of class, a lot of respect, and a lot of professionalism. Last, I'd just like to thank everybody that came out for the recent City Hall dedication. As you noticed that night, that we had an overflow crowd. We weren't quite sure how many people we were expecting that night, but it was nice to see. We had 5 former mayors. We had a lot of mayors from other communities. We had a huge turnout of former elected officials, and a lot of longtime residents came out to view City Hall. And also would like to thank DTE for sponsoring the trick-or-treating that night. And with that, I just wish everybody in the clerk's office a very successful election tomorrow, and all the candidates that are running, that are on the ballot for the election process that they go through and their families go through. And once again, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who you vote for, but it is important that everybody comes out and votes tomorrow. Thank you.
Anything from the city attorney's office?
I have a couple of things this evening. First, I want to make clear that when council meets in closed session to discuss collective bargaining agreements, which it's done recently and which there was some comment about from citizens, it's pursuant to the Open Meetings Act 15.268 subsection 8C and G's. I'm sorry, C and H. So those are appropriate closed sessions to discuss the collective bargaining agreements. Also, when in that same vein, when the council meets, subcommittees of the council are appointed and it's less than a quorum, and they're working on policies and procedures, that is not a secret meeting in any way, shape, or form. So I wanted to clear that up. Also, with regards to the broadcasting of city council meetings, I think a couple of people mentioned the 2010 opinion letter by Attorney Plakas. That letter itself says that there's no obligation to broadcast any of the city council proceedings. So this entire proceeding does not have to be broadcasted. And I think some folks are making a have to watch when we talk about whether or not you're allowing people to speak, citizens' comments to speak to the city council, and that's different than a right to have that broadcast. So again, drawing some distinction on this is, I think, necessary based on the comments made. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from the clerk's office?
Yes, just briefly. This will not be aired until tomorrow at 7 p.m., but tomorrow is Election Day. I encourage everyone to vote. If you see any of my staff, please give them a pat on the back. We've been working one person short since July. We've sent out more than 50% of the absentee ballots that we normally do for gubernatorial election. Just today alone, we issued over 100 ballots, and we processed over 650 ballots today. So when you see my staff, tell them thank you and that they're doing a great job, because they are. Thank you.
Thanks. We'll begin council comments with Councilman Coleman.
Thank you, Council President. First of all, I wanted to say congratulations to and thank you to the police department on the recent award of the COPS grant. And it's no secret that I felt that there was a need for more police officers in our city. So I just wanted to say that I'm very excited about that, and we look forward to meeting the new hires. There's been some talk about the subcommittee on policies and procedures. I did take phone calls from the community, a handful of phone calls from the community, and I was asked if that, what we were looking at doing, and I was asked if they were looking at changing the comments. And I did express to those people, and I confirmed that that's, what's being discussed in those meetings is no secret, it's open. And I confirmed with them that I'm not in favor of changing the broadcast portion of the meeting, which is the entire meeting. I believe that there's a lot of value in showing the entire council meeting. I think that, if there's a few people that the community feels are being negative or inappropriate, I think it's far outweighed by those who speak about community events, fundraisers, or have basic questions about city business that maybe they weren't able to talk about in the agenda portion of the meeting. Lastly, I will just reiterate that on behalf of the Westland Veterans Association, the Veterans Day ceremony will be on a week from Tuesday, November 11th. That'll be at 2 p.m. It'll be at the Veterans Memorial Garden that's behind the Westland Library. If you pull into the Westland Library parking lot, you'll see it on the right side there. Again, that's at 2 p.m. It'll be a smaller ceremony than last year's. Last year's was the historic dedication of the garden. But this year, we will again pay tribute to our nation's veterans who fought hard to protect our country that we love. Please come out and visit us, and I hope to see you there on November 11th. Thank you.
Councilman Johnson.
Thank you. Just for the record, I was part of that policies and procedures. There was a draft made up. No decision has been made to show or not show any portion of the meeting. All 7 council members have indicated something has to be done about the personal tax. We'll sit here all night, and I can't speak for everybody, but I'll sit here all night and listen to any comments you got. You have to present them in a respectful manner. What's going to be done, can't tell you because there's still more meetings, but no decisions have been made. That was a draft copy for the council to come back and discuss that issue. 5 did, and there's input being put in by all 5 council members that responded. So what's going to happen has not been decided yet. You jumped the gun a little bit because no decision's been made to do it. Thank you.
Councilwoman Bryant.
Thank you. I'd like to start by thanking Haley from Marshall Upper Elementary for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance tonight. I would again like to give congratulations to the dispatchers that were recognized for their outstanding service, and again, thank them. The chief reading all that detail about what they did and how they handled those situations really brought it to light, what they do day in and day out that a lot of people don't think about, and just reiterated in my mind that I couldn't do that job, so we are just very thankful for them. Regarding the council policies and procedures meetings, it was a 3 council member committee. We met one time, Councilman Johnson, Councilman Reeves, and myself, and what we did was we compiled the information that all of the council members wanted to look at on the policies and procedures thus far as things have changed. It's been years since it's been looked at. We compiled that information. We generated questions and we generated concerns that were arising from changes that could come about according to what residents' questions and concerns would be, according to legal issues and facts that we would need to get justification on, clarification on, and know what the proper procedures are. We also, at the same time, we're looking at a way to give citizens more opportunity to share their thoughts, more opportunity to share their ideas. I don't want to take credit for it because I suggested it, but it was a conversation that the 3 of us had, and we were all in favor of having the possibility of residents being able to, on their own time, separate from Monday nights when maybe they cannot come to the council meetings, and share what their questions are, their concerns are, their ideas for the city, without censoring anything. So there was never a conversation of stifling anybody's freedoms of speech. It was a preliminary process. The information, there was a suggestion about possibly eliminating some of that as you've heard and as you've gotten the information. But there has not been multiple meetings and there has not been any decisions. It was a preliminary gathering of ideas, compiling of information, sharing it out with the other council members so that we can come together and discuss what is everybody's ideas. As Mr. Johnson said, there has been no discussion. So some misinformation and some incomplete information got out to the residents in the very beginning preliminary process here. So we welcome your ideas, we welcome your thoughts. If there was any elimination of airing citizens' comments during this time, there was a follow-up with, well, what can we have, what is a venue that we can give to the residents? So share your thoughts on that idea as well. Now that you have all of the facts, please share your ideas on that. Would that be something that you would be interested in? You know, we're always here to listen to residents. We would never stop anybody from coming up and speaking as well. So the conversation never was to eliminate or limit anybody's speech to us. You're still welcome to come up. There was the conversation of possibly not airing it. So please share your ideas, share your thoughts, and we're having a study session. Let us know what you're thinking. But please make sure that you give us a call so that you can have all of the information in its completeness. Thank you.
Councilman Kerr.
Well, I'm glad everybody touched on the meetings there. Thank you, Mayor and Christine, for clearing that up, because it does concern me when people come here and mention that we've had meetings or secret meetings or something like that. Just one addition to what's been said already about this. It's right in our policies that, what is it, annually or semi-annually, there's a review of our policies where a committee's formed automatically. And we all send ideas to the committee on things that we'd like to see added, deleted, changed, or whatever on the council policies. So we do this on a frequent basis. It's even in our own rules to review this on a frequent basis. So there's no secret meetings. Nothing was called to order just for this specific cause. So I'm glad they cleared that up. I'd also like to congratulate the dispatchers on their award and the good job that they did. And I'll tell you, the young people come up and do the pledge all the time. I have to comment on Haley. Boy, she just marched up here, didn't see that microphone, just turned that microphone right around, looked at the flag, and started giving the page. Boy, what a take charge young lady there, huh? I got to tell you, that just really struck me the way she didn't hesitate, just went right for it. That was pretty cool. We've said for over a year now that the new city hall would be $10 to $15 million, depending on whether we did a retrofit building or depending whether we built from new. So the tab on this building isn't anything new. We've been saying it for a long time. We pay it over time, just like a home mortgage, just like you do when you purchase your home. So we have yearly payments on this building, and we'll pay the bonds off that were sold to pay for the building. But we came right in darn close to the projected cost, and so it's no big secret. We pretty much knew what the building was going to cost when we started, and we stayed in line to what our estimates were. Yeah, I'm not going to bring up the other issue. Eileen, good fortune and good luck to you and all your staff tomorrow, and everybody get out and vote tomorrow. Oh, well, you won't even see that. Whatever. For everybody in the room, get out and vote tomorrow. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Reeves.
Thank you. I have a ton to say, but I'm not going to belabor a lot of things. It's not going to be very positive as far as some of the comments that have been made. Nobody up here has bullied anybody. You need to look up the definition of bullying if that's what you think is taking place. You can refer to me as Councilman Reeves instead of Dewey. I'm sure I've earned the right to do that, and I would appreciate it. Thank you. To the chief, congratulations. I think that was great. I don't think right now would be a good time for me to express exactly what I feel because it's a little bit emotional, and I don't want to say something that may be marred by my feelings instead of the reality of what's taking place, because I have never said anything up here but the truth. And if some of you have difficulty with it, so be it. A lot of you come up here and you do attack, make ridiculous comments, inflammatory comments, lies. And we have to sit up here and just smile and accept that. Well, I don't think that's the case. I don't think that's what we have to do. And if individuals such as myself who express their dismay or are actually factual about what transpires, if you don't like it, that's your problem. Thank you.
Councilman Hammonds.
Thank you, Council President. I too want to thank the chief for recognizing our dispatchers tonight. They're truly heroes, and it was nice to put the spotlight on them, so thanks for bringing them forward. With regards to the council policies, I have talked to several of our council members and voiced my displeasure in removing the citizens' comments from TV. I think that if you're going to air the council people's comments and administration, then our residents should be aired as well, and also that the meeting should be viewed in its entirety and broadcast in its entirety. So, I'd like to ask that maybe that the committee meets again prior to our study session and comes up with some revisions based on council suggestions. There's also other parts of that council policy that are being revised. It doesn't have to do with the viewing of the meeting, but there are small tweaks that are going on. So hopefully we can get a good working document prior to that study session that works for everybody. I also too want to thank the Norwayne Citizens Council and Hank Johnson and for all their work in getting the Norwayne historical marker dedicated, and also to all the residents that in Norwayne work extremely hard. They're working on keeping their community clean, cleaning it up. It's just amazing to see that what's going on down there. I'm looking forward to the opening of the Jefferson Barnes Community Center down the road. Eileen, good luck tomorrow to you and your staff. I'll quit talking so you can get out of here. Thank you.
I'd like to start by thanking Haley Dulock, the 6th grade student from Marshall Upper Elementary, for leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. I would like to, again, remind everyone, as Councilman Coleman did, that on November 11th, 2 o'clock, Veterans Day, there's a ceremony at the Westland Memorial Garden that will take place behind the library. I, too, would like to congratulate and thank the dispatchers who pretty much go unrecognized for the most part, day in and day out, but they are there every day, 24/7, making sure that the citizens' needs get taken care of. And those 4 are just an example of the fine dispatchers that we have throughout the entire force, or the entire staff of dispatchers. In regards to the tabling of the contract, I did have some issues with the difference in the multiplier change from what is in all the other contracts. So I would like to see those harmonized with the other contracts that we already have in place and approved. And so that's the rest of the contract I have no issue with. I don't think anybody up here has an issue with the rest of the contract and what's in the contract from a benefits and standpoint. It was purely my feeling that we need to have commonality with the multipliers across all of the bargaining units. And a lot's already been said on the policies and procedures. Actually, when I hadn't even seen the document when all of the rumor mills started out on the internet over the changes that were being even talked about. So I found it interesting that several people already had information before I even had a chance to review what was in the document prior to it going out to the council for them to provide their feedback or input on it. So it just, it's, you know, not surprising. We got the typical the conspiracy theory and the lack of openness on behalf of this council, as Mr. Fasson mentioned, and as several other council members have been on that committee in the past. I think Mike chaired it the last time that we had the committee together. It does meet periodically to review all the policies and procedures. And I will tell you that I'm not particularly happy with some of the things that are in there as well. From the standpoint, you know, I'm the one that has to enforce the rules and regulations at the meeting. And one of the things that came out was that I'd be stricter in enforcing the rules and procedures that are already in the council policies and procedures. So again, all of this was way in advance of any logical discussion or any discussion at all by the council, because we haven't had a meeting on it. There was an internal document that was generated as a result of the committee meeting for us to discuss it. And like I said, I saw more comments out on the internet before I even had a chance to read it than, you know, so obviously somewhere they got a hold of, or someone informed some of the residents as to what was the potential of being discussed long before it's even come up for discussion within this body itself. So with that, is there a motion to adjourn?